I got it.
All right, so everybody, you need your math workbook, your math spiral, and a pencil. But go ahead and open up your math spiral, get your pencil ready. We're gonna do a couple of the review problems to start, but I'm not gonna spend as much time as I usually do because we have a lot of graphing to do. So today's lesson, just to show you again where everything is in your Google Classroom, if you go into math, and math is way down here. We're on part 2 today of lesson 3.11. And today is Wednesday. So here is the Google slideshow, and then the video will be posted there as well. If for some reason something happened, you needed to watch it. All right. So today we're going to read and create pictographs and bar graphs. Actually, yesterday was the focus was pictographs. We will look at some pictographs today, but we won't create another one. We'll also be drawing bar graphs and solve comparison problems using these graphs. So we can solve real world math problems that involve graphs. Okay. So today, the success criteria, we want you to be able to read these graphs, kind of interpret them, answer questions about them, and create them. And we'll solve some word problems using the information that is presented on these graphs, okay? So let's head on to our review. See how quickly I can get going. I put 6 times 8 up there because we had a fun chant and we talked about it yesterday. Gavin, do you remember what it is? Can you give me a thumbs up or down if you're not going to unmute? No? Okay, Marin, do you remember the 6 times 8 chant? What is it?
6 and 8 went on a date, didn't come back till they were 48.
So 6 times 8 is?
48.
So Gavin, if you don't remember that chant, is there another strategy you could use to figure it out? Can you unmute and share with us, buddy?
I use my mind to figure it out.
But what strategy did you use? That's not a strategy.
I don't really have a strategy. I just solve the problem.
Okie dokie. How about somebody else? If you don't know this chant, 6 and 8 went on a date, didn't come back till there were 48. How might you figure it out? Madison? Can't hear you, sweetie. Can you unmute?
I would figure it out by doing like counting by 6s.
8 times? Okay, that would be one way. What about Paxton? I saw your hand was up. What do you think, Paxton? How could you figure that out? I can't hear you, honey. Can you get a little closer to your computer?
You can do 6 times 8. No, you can do 8 times 5 equals 40. Then you can add 8.
Excellent. So use what you know. So Gavin, think about this. If I don't know what 6 8s are, but I know 5 8s are 40, and this might be something you're doing in your mind, but you're actually doing something. You're using a strategy. 5 8s are 40. One more 8, because I want to know what 6 8s are, would equal 48. All right, we're going to skip the next one because of time. And I want to go over to 27 divided by 9. How many 9s are in 27? And you can also write it many different ways. 27 divided by 9. You could do it this way. 27 divided by 9. Josh Carter, can you share your thinking around this problem?
What I do around that problem is the answer is 3. And so what I do is I do my 9 times 1, which is 9, and then I do 9 times 2, which is 18, and then I do 9 times 3, which is 27. So, and I did 9 times 3, and so I know it's 3.
So you use the 9's trick. Excellent. All right. Robert, can you walk? We're going to skip the next one and go to 674 plus 238. Can you walk me through that problem?
4 plus 8 is 12, so you would put a 1 on the top of the tens. And then 7 plus 3 is 10. So, and then 11, so you would add another 1 on the 100s, and it's 800 and wait, no.
Don't forget to add the 1.
1,012.
Let's do it again, Robert. 1 plus 6 is 7, and 7 plus 2 would equal 9. So you should have gotten 912. Do you see what you did wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move over to 531 minus 467. Can I have Abby walk me through this one? Okay.
Abby, unmute. You can unmute, Abby.
All right. Ellie Combs, can you help me through this one?
The first is first you have to go over to 3 because you don't have enough to subtract from 7. But that one is too low, so you have to go to the next one. And 11 minus 7 is 4. And you can't do 2 minus 6. So you take 1 away from the 5 to make it a 4. And make a 2 a 12. And 12 minus 6 is...
Penny, we should note that. So you're training. Okay. Your teacher can do that. That's not appropriate.
6. And then 4 minus 4 is 0. So it equals 64.
Excellent. We're not going to put the 0 there, right? That doesn't make sense. Sunny Poe, let's go ahead and do the 600 minus 374. Walk me through that one.
So you can't borrow the 10 from the 0. So what you do is you box the 60, you make it to 59, and you give the 10 to the 0, and 10 take away 4 would be 6. 9 take away 7 would be 2, and 5 take away 3 would be 2, so it would be 226.
Wow, nicely done. All right, let's skip the first clock and move on to this clock. How about Surne? What time is it?
To the clock with 3 hands or to the clock with 2 hands?
Let's look at the shorthand or the hour hand first. Is it on? It's between the 10 and the 11. So what hour are we in, Surne?
10.
We're in the 10 o'clock hour. Now you want to look at that minute hand.
12.
Start at 12. We'll count by 5s. 5, 10, and then you have 2 more minutes here. 11, 12. You should have gotten 10, 12.
Yeah,
If
I got 12.
Nice. If I am sleeping and it's dark out, is this AM or PM? Max Deesberg.
AM.
And I'm sound asleep and it's dark out. The stars are out. It should be PM. At 10:12 a.m., I'm here at school doing EL with Mrs. Harrison, because that's in the morning. I'm never sleeping at 10:12. All right. What unit is better to measure the length of your hand? Would you use feet, inches, yards, or miles? I'm going to pull out of the can for this one. How about, no, he goes to 4th grade. How about Madison? Which unit would be better to measure the length of your hand? Madison, can you unmute?
She's talking, but I can't hear her. But she is unmuted.
So somebody has
Plugged in?
yeah, their headphones plugged in?
I don't have headphones.
Oh, hey, we heard that. Do it again. There you go. We gotcha.
I think inches.
You're right. Why? Why would we use inches and not feet, yards, or miles?
Well, because feet is really like big and yards are really big and miles are really big. So inches would be the right one.
The smallest unit, right? For our hands are small. The length of our hand's not going to be very long. So nice job, my dear. All right. So you are going to be learning about bar graphs today. So just like pictographs, bar graphs give us information. It's a way to display data, and data is just another word for information. We collect data about all kinds of things. We saw yesterday the pictograph about people's preferred fruits. If you guys were here, we usually do a graph about toys that are trending at West Jeff Elementary School. But because we couldn't survey people, we didn't get a chance to do that. But that's something we might want people to know about so that they can, like someone like me who's not around little kids, but I have nieces and nephews, I could see what toys are trending for certain ages, and then I could go buy that toy. So graphs give us information to help us. All right, Haley, can you put that away, honey? Whole body listening, Ms. Booker, thank you. Put it away. I've asked you that earlier too. All right, so how can you use bar graphs? Let's watch and build our schema.
A bar graph is a way to organize and show data. You can write the categories on the bottom. The 3 dinosaurs are the categories. Then you can write the numbers on the side. The numbers in our bar graph show how many people voted for each dinosaur.
We just give praise for cleaning up our
One student liked the Stegosaurus the best, so I fill in 1 square. 6 people voted for the Triceratops, so I color in 6 squares.
Sorry, I was trying to mute somebody who was.
7 people said the T-Rex was their favorite dinosaur. You can also put the categories on the left and the numbers on the bottom. You can display the same information in a different way so you can understand it better. How can you use bar graphs to understand information? Bar graphs help you answer questions. Which dinosaur did people in our class like the best? Right, the T-Rex is the most popular. Which dinosaur did people like the least? The Stegosaurus got 5 fewer votes than the Triceratops. You can even use the bar graph to figure out the total number of students who voted. Just add the votes from each category. 14 kids voted in all. I'm almost done with this.
Okay, so that gives you an idea of how we use
A
them.
bar graph is a way to organize and show data. You can write the categories on the bottom.
Okay, we're going to turn to page 195 in our math workbook and actually look at different types of bar graphs. There are 2 main types of bar graphs. One is horizontal bar graph and the other is a vertical bar graph. And they're really similar. The only thing that's different is the direction of the bars. So the first one we're going to look at is horizontal because the bars are going across like the horizon. And you can see that in the first bar graph that says flowers in Mary's garden. So go ahead and get your pencil and turn to page 195 and check out the horizontal bar graph that says flowers in Mary's garden.
What page?
195. It's up there on the screen.
And I put it in chat.
All right, so let's think about the question. Number 12 asks, what do the bars represent? So these bars here, we're looking at rows here, the red, the purple, and this yellow pale color. What are these bars showing us? What are they telling us? What do they represent? Marin, what do you think?
They represent the types of flowers.
Yeah, not just the types, but the number of each type of flower in Mary's garden, right? So we have, these bars tell us the number. That's a key word, right? Because if we see where it ends, then I'm gonna know how many each type has, right? It's telling the number of each type of flower in Mary's garden. So now that we know that's what the bars are showing us, we can answer the question, how many tulips are in Mary's garden? I don't want to know roses right now. I want to know how many tulips. So in order to read this graph, when you're looking at a bar graph, you'll notice that the bottom or the side, depending on which type of bar graph it is, has numbers like intervals, just like we did on the timeline when we were looking at elapsed time. So what is this bar graph counting by? Max Diesberg, what is this? What are the intervals here? What is it counting by?
Twos.
Yeah, this is counting by twos. And when you create your bar graph tomorrow, you'll have to decide what are your intervals for your bar graph, or like a scale. And the range is from 0, the minimal, to 20. That's our maximum number of flowers for each type. So if I am wanting to find out how many tulips are in Mary's garden, what do I need to do? What am I going to do with this bar? August, what do I do? How about Haley Calendar? How do I read this? How do I find out how many tulips there are in Mary's garden? Okay. I will give it another shot. How about, is Lyric available?
She was here.
Lyric, can you tell me how many tulips are in Mary's garden?
Her video's off, so I'm not sure.
All right. Bird, how many tulips are in Mary's garden? Read that bar graph. Where's that bar ending?
14.
Excellent. How did you know, Bird?
Because the line is at 14.
I'm so glad you said that. Where it ends is where you're going to look for that number. So there are 14 tulips in Mary's garden. So notice what this graph has. This is called the title. Okay? So flowers in Mary's garden, that's the title, and that's what it's telling us. That's what the information is about. Down at the bottom, where the numbers are, it's telling us how many of each flower, the number of flowers for each type. On this side, it's also labeled with the kind of flower. So we have 3 kinds of flowers we're looking at: the roses, the zinnias, and the tulips. Yes, Serene. I can't hear you, Serene, probably because you have headphones on.
I didn't have a question. I just raised my hand.
You had your hand up. I was watching you, and that's why I called on you. Did you not have anything to share?
Shaking her head no.
Okay. All right. So let's keep looking at the vertical bar graph and see how it is similar and different. Oopsie. Oh, I wanted to scroll down a little, but I don't think it's going to let me. Darn. So looking at on page 195, I might use my dock camera because I can't see the bottom there. You will notice it still has a title, but now we're looking at a different bar graph. It is vertical and it has different information. So I'm going to put this under the document camera so I can show you both parts. Because you want to see how to label it, because tomorrow, like I said, I'm going to give you a chance to make your own bar graph. So we still have our title, but this time it's Vehicles in Murray's Used Car Lot. In this one, we got all kinds of information about flowers in Mary's garden. Now we're looking at vehicles, which is just a fancy word for cars, right? Vehicles in Murray's used car lot. And now I want to see, how is this different and alike? So instead of the numbers being on the bottom, where are the numbers, Ben? Where are they? They're not on the.
Said.
Okay, instead of on the bottom, see these numbers on the horizontal bar graph? The numbers are on the bottom. On the vertical bar graph, where are the numbers, Ben? Bowers, I see you. Where are the numbers?
On the side?
Yeah, they're on the side instead. And instead of counting by twos, that was the interval that this graph had. Cooper, what is the interval for this bar graph, the vertical bar graph? 0, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. What is it? It's not counting by twos anymore. What is this one counting by?
Counting by fours.
Yeah, so this has intervals of 4. Now, the bars this time are not going to represent the number of each type of flower in Mary's garden. What do the bars represent in this one, Astria?
Cars.
Just cars, or can you give me more information?
Different kinds of vehicles.
But the bar is telling us something about each kind of vehicle. What is it telling us?
How many
Yes.
vehicles are
The number, right? It's telling us the number. And I want you to write this down because you're going to use these pages tomorrow to help you remember how to create your own bar graph. These will be a resource for you. The number of each kind, let's do this, each kind of vehicle in Murray's used car lot. That's what they represent. So we know from the title that this is information about the vehicles in Murray's used car lot. We know from the bottom here that these are the different kinds of vehicles. He has vans, trucks, and cars. Now on the side, it's the number of each type. It's counting by fours. Cooper told us that. So how many vans are there? Charlie Carr, how many vans are in Murray's used car lot?
There are 24.
24. How many trucks?
16.
And how many cars?
36.
So you did a great job of reading that bar graph. Now we want to analyze it a little bit. Think about the question number 15. How many more? I've told you that's whenever we hear how many more, we are comparing something. That means we're looking for a difference between a big number and a smaller number. When we know the word difference is the answer to that subtraction problem, right? So we're comparing vans and trucks. So if I know there are 24 vans and only 16 trucks, and I want to know the difference, I need to subtract. So go ahead and stack that problem and solve it. See, how many more vans are there than trucks on Murray's used car lot? So Madison, I want you to solve that because that's not going to give you 2. 24 minus 16. I think what you're doing, Madison, is seeing that there's 2 intervals, but I think you forgot that the intervals count by 4s. So you could multiply that by 4 and get your answer. And then you would have it. That would be a strategy. Or you could subtract. I like that strategy though. So she was seeing there's one section here and one section here. So she thought that was 2, but we know this is equal to 4 and this is equal to 4. So if you add 4 plus 4, Madison, what do you get?
8.
Yeah, and if we subtract, we can't do 4 minus 6, so we take 1 away from the 10, make it 14. 14 minus 6 is 8. 1 minus 1 is 0, so 8 would be right. There are 8 more vans than trucks. But that's good thinking. You just got to multiply your interval. All right. Let me go back to, so now we know bar graphs must have a title. They must have the type of object that you are giving information about. Then you also have to have the numbers of how many of each kind of whatever your information is. You can go either way, numbers on the bottom and kinds on the side, or you can do numbers on the side and kinds on the bottom. So I'm going to go back and let's look at page 196. We're going to create bar graphs. So let's look at the information in the table and we'll complete the horizontal bar graph, okay? So these are favorite ways to exercise. Somebody did a survey, and that's when you ask people, hey, Ben, what's your favorite way to exercise? Biking, swimming, or walking? And then he would tell me, and then I'd say, Katie, what's your favorite activity to get exercise? Biking, swimming, or walking? And I would take notes on this. I would collect data. I would use tally marks, and then I would know my information. So someone did that, and now we're going to display it in a bar graph. So first thing I need to create a bar graph is a title, and it's already in the chart. So Katie, what does it say at the top of that chart? What can we make our title say?
It says favorite way to exercise.
So that's what we're going to title this bar graph. Favorite ways to exercise. That's the kind of information you're going to get. Now, looking at how this is set out, what do you think is going to go on the left side of this? What do you think, Haley Booker? What am I going to list here? Look at your chart.
Haley, can you unmute? You're muted at the moment. There you go. What?
All right, how about Gabe? Gabe, what should I write on the side there? What are the activities?
The activities are biking, swimming, and walking.
Yeah, so I'm gonna write here, biking, swimming, and walking. And then on the side, I'll write, these are the activities. That's the activity. Now I'm gonna have to figure out my numbers because that is the next step. I know this is gonna say the number of students that voted for each activity. And guess what? I'm getting this right from the table. This came right from the table. this came right from the table. You see how you're using the data you collected and you're just putting it into your graph. So now I'm wondering, if I have a range from 10 being the minimum number and 14 being the maximum number, I need to make sure I can fit that many in my bar graph. Any suggestions of what I should make my intervals count by? Lucas, Stewart, what do you think? What should I make it count by? I can't do ones, I won't have enough room.
How about 5s?
Okay, let's see. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Do I need that many?
No.
So we could do that, but that takes.
Dude.
How
Yeah.
about 3?
I think we could try 2s. I heard you say 2s. I don't think we need to do 5s because our numbers are not that large.
You can do 3s.
The only problem with 3s is 10 and 14 are not multiples of 3s. And 10 and 14 and 12 are all multiples of 2. So it would be nice and easy to draw. Watch. So let's label it by 2.
I said that.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Okay, so we can label it by 2s, and that works because we got all the way to 14. That's the highest we're gonna have to go. Now, I would pick a color, and I don't know if you have colored pencils or crayons, but we'll definitely be using those tomorrow, and they're in your directions to bring those to math tomorrow. Now I have to look at my data. Viking has 12 students that voted for that. So my bar graph is going to go from here to 12. I would use a ruler normally to make it nice and straight. And you are welcome to use a ruler if you have one, or a straight edge of some sort. It's hard on a smart board, but I will model that tomorrow. Now I'll use another color for swimming. How many do I need for swimming, Henry? How many votes did we get?
14.
Excellent. So then I'm going to draw my bar next to swimming all the way to 14 and come back. And then for walking, Robert, how many for walking?
10.
So my bar graph is going to go to 10. So that is an example of how you would create a bar graph. I'm going to give you a minute to finish it. And that is a horizontal bar graph. We'll do a vertical bar graph next. When you are finished creating the horizontal bar graph for favorite ways to exercise, give me a thumbs up so I can gauge my time here. So Gabe, are you done? I see you're moving around. Thumbs up, Gabe? Not quite? Okay, let's start writing then. Put the toy away. Josh, did you have a question? Carter, Josh Carter, I see your hand was raised.
No.
Okay. Max Fox, do I have a thumbs up from you? Doing good. All right, Sunny, I see you. Cerne, I don't see you. I'm hoping you're just leaning to the side there.
She is still working. She's a thumbs down.
Okay, maybe that's someone else. I don't see her at all. Jensen, you doing okay? I don't see Ben. Where are you? Finn, how you doing, bud? Thank you. Abby, is it making sense? Can't see. Can you use your other hand?
Thumbs up.
Oh, it is? Okay, I can't see because of my screen. Hold on.
No worries.
August, I see you raised your hand. Did you have a question? All right.
Actually.
I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one. We're going to see, and some of you might have moved ahead because you think you get it, and that is exciting that you get it, but let's double check. So we just did the top one for favorite ways to exercise. I'm going to use this because it didn't show up so good on my Google presentation. So let's look at the information about favorite team sport. Here is the title. I've got the different types of sports here. We're looking at baseball, soccer, and basketball. Number of students here. I have to convert that into a bar graph. Now, this one is vertical. So I am going to get that same information from the title as I did with the other chart. What is the title, Astria? What is the title? And that is going to go here. Can you tell me?
Favorite team sport.
Favorite. And I'm capitalizing because it's a title, just like you'll do for your pourquoi. Favorite team sport. That's where this information goes. Now, I'm going to do it a little different than last time because the numbers are going to go on the side. So this will be the number of students, whereas when I did the horizontal bar graph, that went on the bottom. Now it's going to be on the side, so that gets written right there. And then the sport will go here. So what will I put in these three spots, Cooper? What am I going to write in these three spots? Here, here, and here. What do you think? Are you frozen, Cooper? I saw you blink. Can you unmute and share? What three things are going to go in these three spots? Huh. All right. I don't know what's going on there.
I don't know
Max
if I
Fox.
think or not. I'm not sure.
Max Fox, can you unmute and tell me what three words are going to go? What three name words are going to go in these spots?
Basketball, soccer ball, and baseball.
Okay, so I'm going to write them like they're written in the chart. I'll do baseball first, then I'll do soccer, and then I'll do basketball. Thank you, Max. Good listening. So all three of those are going to go here because under here says sport. This is the favorite team sport. Now, the hard part is figuring out the intervals. I would definitely look at my information, my data. I would look for my minimum and my maximum. I have 35 as my minimum, 60 is my maximum. That's a lot higher number than 14, which is what was on our last graph. So if I'm going all the way up to 60 and I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines, I'm not going to be able to count by twos. Look what would happen. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I only get to 14. I need to get to 60. So there's no way my intervals can be twos. Gabe, I see your hand is up. What are you thinking for our intervals?
I think you should count by tens.
Why do you think that? I think that's a great idea, but why?
If each line would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70.
And that would be perfect, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because look, even if I tried fives, look what would happen. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I'd only get to 35, my minimum number. I have to get to 60. So fives does not work. Gabe is absolutely right. We need to count by tens. So I'm going to start with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and this would be 70. That's one of the hardest parts of creating a bar graph is getting the intervals figured out. Once you can do that, then you're going to have fun just creating it. So pick your colors. I'm going to get 3 colors. And it doesn't matter what color you use. But for baseball, I think I'll use red. Now here's something I got to think about. We did not count by fives, but 35 ends in a 5. What should I do? Jensen, how can I show 35 on this graph when it's counting by tens? Like I know I can go at least to 30, but
Of the 10.
say that one more time.
You can go to the half line of the 10.
Why does that work? You're absolutely right. Why does that work?
Because there are 2 5s in a 10. And if you just make it to the middle, it stands for 5.
Half of 10 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So that works. I love your explanation. All right, soccer. Sunny Poe. Where am I going to draw that to? Where does my bar go to for soccer?
It goes to 60.
And I don't have to divide anything, right? Because it ends in a 0.
Red, blue.
Yeah, you guys don't have to use the same ones as me. All right, and then basketball. Josh Carter, what do I need to make my graph go to for basketball?
40.
40. Pretty straightforward there, right on the line. Now, if it were 45 votes or students that liked it, I would just go halfway between the 40 and 50. Haley, I see your hand is up. Did you have a question or did you want to say 40?
I was going to say 40.
Okay. All right. So it's pretty fun creating bar graphs. I think once you figure out what to label it, where to put your title, and how to do your intervals and your numbers, you'll be just fine. So that was one of our learning targets, was to actually create a bar graph. And you just created 2 bar graphs, a horizontal and a vertical. Now, what I think we're going to do is some problem solving around that. So we're going to go back. I'm going to get out of this. Back to our Smartboard presentation. And we're going to look at some graphs and analyze them and solve some problems. Because the whole point of having a graph is so you can share information. So let's look at 197. Now this is a pictograph. And the one thing I told you yesterday with a pictograph, when you are reading a pictograph, you have to look at the key. Haley Calendar, what is the key on this pictograph telling us? We're on 197.
I can't see Miss Haley, so I'm not sure she's going to be available.
All right, Katie, what about you, my dear? What does each music note represent?
4 students.
Excellent, 4 students. So when I answer these questions, I have to be very careful because each one is worth 4. Charlie Carr, can I have whole body listening, bud? Thank you, whole body. So if I'm looking at the guitar as the favorite musical instrument or that students play, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes. Does that mean it's 5 students, Charlie? Can you unmute and share your thinking? Does that mean it's 5 students?
No, it means it's
There are 5 notes. Each note stands for 4 students. What would that tell me then? For how many students play the guitar?
it means there would be 18 because it's counting by 4.
So you're right, you are counting by 4s, but if you count by 4s 5 times, you won't get 18. Do you know that repeated addition is the same as multiplication?
4 times 5
Equals 20.
Would equal 20. So this actually means 20 students play guitar. Okay, let's look at drums. Okay, Josh Carter. Let's count how many musical notes and then multiply it by 4. Can you tell me, Josh Carter, how many musical notes you see for drums? And then let's figure out how many students that is.
There is 10. There's 10, and so that's 40.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10, but we have to multiply it by,
It's 40.
so we would get 40. Nice. All right, what about the piano? How many students play the piano according to our pictograph? How about Elena Baugh? Can you unmute and share your thinking?
I think we have
How many music notes are there, Elena? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7, right?
Yeah.
And what are we going to multiply that by? Go back to the key. Good girl. 7 times 4. What would that equal? If you're not sure what 7 times 4 is, you could do 2 times 7 2 times and then add them together. Because 2 plus 2 equals, what is it?
28.
Nice job, 28. Very good thinking. All right, and then the violin. Cooper, how many people play the violin?
12.
How do you know?
I counted by fours I did 4 times 3.
Excellent. All right, so we're going to do a couple questions here. How many more? Remember, that is telling you to subtract. How many more students play guitar than violin? Looking at guitar has 20, and violin has 12. Give me a thumbs up when you have your answer. Josh Lewis, would you be willing to share your thinking?
I just counted up from 12 to 20.
You just did, and what did you get? That's a great strategy.
I got 8.
8. So if I count up from 12 to 20, I would get 8. I could still do it this way and still get 8. So 8 students. Well done. All right, let's look at number 19. How many students do not play drums? So if 20 students play guitar, and for piano we have 28 students, and we have 12 students that play violin. We don't want to include that 40 because that's how many students play the drums. We want to know how many students do not play drums. All of these students play something else. Go ahead and see if you can figure that out. How many students do not play the drums?
I have Gabe's hand up and Josh Lewis's hand up, Astria and Serne.
All right, how about Astria? I haven't heard from you. What do you think?
I think it's 52.
Okay, can you explain your thinking? Let's see what, I think you might be off a little bit. Let's see.
I added 2 plus 0, 0. That was 2. And then I add.
Did you stack these numbers like this? Or did you do it a different way?
60. 60, my love. 60.
Or did you add your 10s first?
I accidentally put 2 20s instead of.
That's okay. That's why we check it. Do you want to go over it? Try again?
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's 60.
Okay, how'd you get your answer?
Is then I added 8 plus 2 and I got 10. And then I added 5 plus 1 and that got 6.
Okay, great job. Did anyone do that same problem differently and still get 60? Let me see if I can find anyone. Anybody else want to share their thinking in a different way?
Renee has her hand up.
Renee, go ahead.
I think it's 60, but I did it like I did 2 plus 2 equals 4, and
Did you add the tens first? Like make groups of 10, like 20 plus 20 plus 10, or? And then count your ones and add them? I'm not sure, honey. I'm trying to get in your head.
Renee, you're muted, sweetie.
I know why I didn't get 60 and I got 59. I added 0 plus 8, which equals 8, and then I added the 1, even though I added the 1 to the 2 plus the 2. So I accidentally I did 0 plus 8 plus 1, and I did 2 plus 2 plus 1.
Okay, so you got 59 first because you added the 10 instead of the 2 and the 1s. I see. All right, so you could have grouped it and saw your 10s, maybe like 20 plus the other 20 and 28. Like maybe you add it this way. Adding all your 10s, 20, 40, 50, and then maybe you saw that 0 plus 8 plus 2, 8 plus 2 would be 10 more, and you got 60, something like that. Give me a thumbs up if maybe you did that instead, something a little different. Okay. All right, so because of time, we are not going to be able to finish this. There's a lot more to do on these, which is good because we will have time later. But I want to see, so this is going to be like a 3-day lesson, actually. How are we feeling about graphs? Not just creating them and drawing them, but analyzing them, interpreting them. That's what we just did. We were doing some problem solving with them. How do you feel? Oh, Gabe, I'm so happy. You seem very excited. Robert, not sure, still need some work on it. We're just starting this unit. This is only day 2 for this big idea. So,
Yep, I see a lot of sideways, so we're working on it.
Yep, Henry, I see you. I see you, Elena. I think the problem solving part is a problem solving skill in general. So we'll maybe need to revisit our solving word problem skills and bring those into this a little more. So it's not just looking at the graph, it's thinking about those keywords and visualizing it too. All right, so I am going to ask a couple kiddos to stay